Welcome to Real Estate Coaching Radio, starring award-winning real estate coaches and #1 international best-selling authors, Tim and Julie Harris. This is the #1 daily radio show for realtors looking for a no BS, authentic, real-time coaching experience. What's really working in today's market, how to generate more leads, make more money, and have more time for what you love in your life. And now your hosts, Tim and Julie Harris.
3, 2, 1, and we are back. And guess where we are? We're still in Miami, still at the in the tower, sitting at the big marble table, but we have a different guest. And my guest right now is my hermano.
Hermano, there you go, hermano.
Hermano?
Yeah, this very American accent, hermano. I'm from South Dakota, actually. You got Julie laughing. What?
I was going to ask you what the accent was.
Michael is laughing too.
I'm here with Orlando Montiel, and Orlando and his brother and an amazing group of people have started what I have to say is one of the most impressive movements we've ever seen in the real estate industry called C5. And Julie and I were participating in his event a little bit today, and it was really kind of an overwhelmingly different experience for the real estate industry. And we talked with Michael Valdez about that experience as well. And I want you to share with the listeners about what C5 is all about and why it has moved from, it's not just a real estate thing, it's almost become a cultural movement in the real estate industry. It sounds like I'm building this up too much, but I'm not. It really is. So could you tell me about just the concept behind C5 and why it is without a doubt the fastest growing? I think Michael validated this as the fastest growing group at EXP, C5. Mm-hmm. Can you talk about what the genesis of the idea was and really what the 5 C's stand for?
Sure. So many years in real estate, Tim, and thank you for the opportunity. Thank you, Julie, for having me in your podcast. Big fan. I always listen to you guys, and it's great to be here today. Very simple. The C5 group, and it's now a movement that the way they call it stands for the first 5. So many years, Tim, coaching so many agents. You know that.
Well, we should actually mention
Sure, go ahead.
So Orlando's background is there's no question about it. You're the most dominant Hispanic coach, real estate coach. So, we hope to be as influential with non-Hispanics as you are with Hispanics. Right?
Okay, there you go.
But more than that, you've got a TV show.
Right.
You're a spokesperson for MasterCard. Telemundo, don't you have in your
Univision, MasterCard, TurboTax, etc.
Yeah, exactly. So you're the spokesperson for all those different brands.
Yeah, and there's a story behind it, right? It's to me, I'm very passionate about financial peace, financial freedom, and that's what we talk about every week on TV. And when I saw this model, and you mentioned C5, I saw the perfect opportunity to marry what I do on TV, which is talk about financial freedom for Hispanics, right? And also put it into the real estate agents, format or way of selling real estate, right, in their industry. So that's key to me.
That was very similar to the motivation behind Julie and I aligning.
Exactly. I know.
Because it was something of a closing of a loop, right? So we could teach them how to sell real estate and be successful, same as you guys, obviously. But what happens after that, or what they do with the education, is really up to them. And most importantly, what they do or don't do with the money that they earn is up to them as well. And it really is painfully tragic to see some of these agents that have these ups and downs, not just in income, though you can iron those out with skills, but these ups and downs in essentially their lives, because they never have learned. They might be the best agents forever, and that'll ever be, but if they don't learn how to manage their money, they're not for long.
And not only about managing their money. Today we had about 300 people in the room, and it's not only about managing money, it's the way you make money, right? Mm-hmm. So do not confuse income with financial stability. That's a big, huge difference, right? And we say, a real estate agent celebrate a $40,000 commission with a $60,000 car, right? And we see that all the time, right? All right. So what happens is we want to make sure that the real estate agent has a future, a financial future. Right? You look back at most real estate agents, 15 years in the business, 20 years in the business, you know that because you coached them. Julie, you coach them. They have nothing in the bank. Zero. It's in our DNA, all right, of the real estate agent. So how can we change that? And when we saw this model, I spoke to you, we saw the opportunity for real estate agents to truly have a future, right? And so they work very hard for today, but very, very little or almost nothing for their future.
So that is not abnormal. Humans in general don't think.
Exactly.
Julie and I
Right,
talked
right.
about this on the podcast a number of times. Most people can't see themselves into the future, so they don't save. And the average American has $400 saved.
Right.
And then you've got a lot of other people that have grown. There's a generation of people that are coming up that have been trained to think that when when the stuff hits the fan, that there's going to be the government that's going to bail them out, and it has, and it might continue to. So there's been no motivation, training, education. But here is something to what I think the point you were making. And Glenn Sanford, the CEO of EXP, said this.
I had him in my show, in Miami Real Estate Show, and I love what he said. I want to create a model that, despite of my lack of knowledge or effort to build a financial future, I do have financial stability, right, within my business, which is real estate.
And that's the thing that's really one of the special elements about EXP, is that you can create financial stability, long-term financial wealth for yourself, despite the fact that it's happening for you almost automatically.
Right.
And that's that concept. And I think it was Glenn that said there's two things agents don't do: pay their taxes and save money.
There you go.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
And so,
right.
I mean, really,
Right.
if you peel back the layers of that onion, it is so true.
Right.
But again, it's not just agents. It's Americans in general that have gotten into this conditioning of not really thinking about themselves in the future. And that is, it's fascinating when people see. I was on an attraction call with Sean Kokoska the other day, and we were talking.
Friend, very good friend.
Oh
Sean.
yeah, yeah. And he's part of our overall
Yeah,
group.
yeah,
He's part of
definitely.
Libertas.
Yep.
So we were talking to this really brilliant guy, 31 years old. He's in all these parallels, insurance, and just all these different things that he's really doing great. No matter what happens in his life, for sure this guy's going to hit it out of the park. But we were on this Zoom with him, and Sean and I were talking with him. But there was a moment when I saw that light go off in his head. Where he really
It's beautiful.
Where he
It's
saw
beautiful.
what EXP was.
It's beautiful.
And that's something that Julie and I were too stubborn. It took us 6 years to see it.
Right. Yeah.
But that to be part of that very moment when he put his hands on his, is what he did. Physically put his hands on his face. And then I text Sean because we were both watching.
All right.
and I say, Sean, he just got it.
Got it. So
And as soon as he took his hands off his face and he leaned back
it's beautiful.
up, he did.
Yep.
And everything about he just immediately had a new operating system loaded, and you could see it.
Here's a beautiful thing about the model, that you can still sell real estate very successfully, even better now, all right, because you have more confidence. Now you don't have to sell. You work with people you want to work with because you also have now a financial, stability that you didn't have before. But not only you have that income right now, but you also have that income in the future. Again, do not confuse current income. If you sell 50 houses, congratulations. You had a great year. That also means that next year you need to sell at least 50 homes. At least 50 homes. Why? Because the more houses you sell, the more you increase your level of your lifestyle. It's that simple. So to me, 50 homes equates to 50 homes next year or more. You can go back to 30 or 20 houses next year. And you know that as a coach, you can go back. So yeah, you're making more money, but you're adjusting your lifestyle, which means you need to keep working until the day you die.
Well, a lot of people
we see that every single day with real estate agents when we coach them, and you do too.
Oh, absolutely. But a lot of people do that. Not intentionally, not trying to basically make it so they have to run faster.
Absolutely not. They don't know anything else.
They don't, exactly. And,
Right.
and they're also doing something, they're doing it to motivate themselves. That's what they do. They just essentially will increase their cost. Julie and I call it the golden cage, right?
Yeah, well, but that is not financially responsible.
No.
All right? You're putting myself in a situation where I must make more money. All right? I want to put myself in a situation, and that's the beautiful thing about the model. It's you need to be more productive. Listen, if you either made more money this year than last year, or you work less for the same amount of money, to me, you failed this year, right? You don't need to make more money, but if you're gonna make the same amount of money as you made last year, you need to work less this year. If not, you're not improving, right? So it's not only about money. I want you to make more money if that's what you want. If you want to keep that, and many agents, Julie, say, I don't want to make more money. I'm okay like that. Okay, good. But what about if you work less? Instead of 50 hours, can you go to 30? Then can you go to 20? Then can you go to 10? And then can you have the option to choose your clients? Because many real estate agents, even though they're making very good money, they do not have the option to select their clients. And that's where we want them.
Yeah, that's true. So let's get back to the five
Right.
C's.
So the first C, right, it's all about compensation, right? Do you as a real estate agent listening right now, do you have a compensation package? Now, the typical conversation between real estate agents is, what's the split you have in your company? Now, we have a different conversation right now, which is not how much you're paying your company, it's how much your company is paying you. Now that completely changes the equation. What do you mean how much the company is paying me? Yeah. How much is your broker paying you? Completely different, right? So we need a compensation package. That's number one, the compensation package, right? Are you becoming an owner in your company? You're helping somebody build their business. And we said it this morning, and people had like an oh moment, right? Every single day when you wake up, you're building a business. The question is for who? Are you building it for yourself or are you building it for somebody else? Ideally, the way we work together, we are building somebody else's and our own at the same time. That's the ideal situation, right? It's what is it? It's compensation for contribution, right? And that's the main premise in our group, right? I help you build your business. You help me build mine. So compensation, right? So you have stocks in the company, all right? Do you have a very competitive split? Can you create teams? And the beautiful thing about this model is that it is the only model that I know, and I've coached. And if you go to the Montiel organization, montielorganization.com, you'll see all the companies we coach. Many of those you know, most of them you know. Is that the beautiful thing about the EXP model is that you can build teams within teams. Got it? In the traditional real estate company, you can't have a large team. You just can't. You can have 200 people. We bring almost 200 people a month. Now, for most people, the environment, right? The number one thing you need to protect, the number one thing you're responsible for is your health and your environment. Now, when you're in a limited environment, when they're talking about, 20, 30 agents, 50 transactions a year, that's all you see. That's your conversation. By the way, that's one of the things that I like to talk. That's what I like to talk to you so much, because you open my mind to different things.
Well, the three things are health, your environment, and your finances.
Right.
Those are really.
But here's the thing.
Those are only the three things.
But if you don't have the right environment,
totally,
the finances are not going to be there. By the way, your environment also influences your health. Number one is health, right? So I say I go out with my brother on vacation, and when I'm with my brother on vacation, I usually don't have desserts. But my wife and I have a couple that are foodies, right? And we are having breakfast, and they're thinking about lunch and dinner, and they have all these desserts. And I gain 5-6 pounds when I come back from vacation from them. Again, the environment. So number one is compensation, right? Do you have a compensation package, a competitive split, and can you create teams large enough? Which, by the way, if you're listening right now, I don't care if you got your license right now. Last night, you got it today. These are the 4 stages of a real estate agent, right? Stage number one. You start working with what? With tenants, right? Fast money. You don't need to know much, right? And it's just quick. It's easy. But then you get to a level of knowledge that you start working with what? Buyers, exactly. Right? So I don't want to work with tenants anymore. I refer them, right? I don't need that money right away, right? I'd rather work with buyers. But then it gets to a point. Now you start using leverage, right? And then you graduate to working with who? Listings, right? With sellers. Now, the problem with working with sellers is that you truly need skills, right? And then you're competing with other agents that might be more skillful than you. But at the end of the day, every single agent, even if they don't know it, they will know it in the future. They want to build what? Teams. Do not confuse that, all right? At the end of the day, if not, all you have is a job. You need to create teams. The beautiful thing about the EXP model is that you don't need to be experienced to have those teams. Very simple. Look at your broker. What is the broker doing? Leveraging the effort, the experience, the knowledge of 20, 30, 50, I don't care, as many agents they have in their company. What is the owner of the owner of the franchise doing? Leveraging, right? Residual income. They're looking for that. So the team leader is looking for what? Residual income. The broker of the company is looking for that residual income, right? The owner who bought the franchise, the real estate franchise, is looking for what? Residual income. The owner that has the region of that franchise is looking for what? Residual income from many different sources, many different agents. That's beautiful. But here's the problem. Who's doing all the selling?
Yeah, exactly.
The real estate agent. So everybody's benefiting, over me. The recruiter, the broker, the owner of the franchise, the owner of the region, the owner of the master franchise. Everybody's making money off everybody else. But me, the one making the sale, I'm making money off of what? Of myself. 100% of my income is dependent on 100% of my effort, knowledge, and experience. And that's the full, and that's what we want to change in the real estate industry. And that's what we can do right now.
So normally, like in real estate, is it sole practitioner? or an agent with a team, the listings give you the most leverage, right? You could argue that your team members give you leverage, but ultimately the greatest leverage you could have, and in your group at EXP, you guys have well over 1,000 people,
right?
And those are in many different countries. It's incredible, and I'm sure that you guys are going to end up being probably the largest, if not one of the largest, well, certainly Hispanic groups in the whole entire organization. So what listeners need to understand is when you get like that guy I was describing, when you get that moment where you realize you can have this international group of agents, that every time they sell a house, you get a little tiny percent of whatever that commission was, and it comes off their cap. They're not actually paying it. It comes off the cap that they pay to EXP. When you have that epiphany, and you realize, so a lot of you have these conversations too. People are aspirational and they want to have these big teams, and I want to have expansion teams, or I want to open a brokerage. Well, I got a better business model for you. How would you like to have 1,000 people? How would you like to have 300 people in India and 500 people in just all these different countries? And that's what EXP is attracting.
Right.
It gives these. It's the next natural step. This is what happens when you play with my equipment there, my mics.
Because I'm nervous.
It's the next natural step.
Right.
Well, it was for you. It was for Julie and I. It was for Michael Valdez. It's for everyone listening. EXP is the next natural step that all agents in what the global real estate industry is waking up to realize. The next natural step is to align with EXP.
Listen, it's so obvious, right? The real estate industry has not changed in the past 50 years. 1971, I think, was Century 21 that created the maybe that's the year that created the franchise, and came Remax, I think 1973. Then Keller Williams came with a better model, right? Where they would share part of their profit with agents. Now, they started the team building, right, in 1985, right? But now, all of a sudden comes EXP and says, no, Keller Williams doing it very well. But here's what happens. We are not going to share from the profits. We want to share from the revenue.
So drill down. What's the difference?
Okay. Oh, the big difference is that, if we don't need the difference, then we got to go to a one-on-one sales class or finance class. So very simple. The profits, right, comes after what? All the expenses. So if you work for one of those offices, right, they have all the marketing, all the staff, all the overhead, right, and what's left at the end of the month, which changes every single month, then they distribute it. With EXP, the beautiful thing is that they distribute it from the top.
That's the thing that that was part of that epiphany that guy had, right? Right. You sponsor somebody or somebody sponsors somebody, and then they earn a commission check.
You just don't know.
The revenue share comes off the top.
Right, that's it.
It's not diluted by a bunch of, like in the profit share models, right, without referring to any particular brand. But the profit share is not in your control.
Right. If the branch manager says, this month we're going to buy a $7,000 copy machine, that's it.
That's it.
That's
exactly.
It.
Or as happened prior to COVID, they were the people with the franchises were being told to take the money that would have been paid to profit share and prepay your lease, right? Because who knows what the next 90 or 120 days is going to be licensed before agents or brokerages could do SBA loans and whatnot.
Gross versus net.
There you go. Thank you. That's simple.
Yeah,
Thank you,
is.
Michael.
But that's the thing
right?
that, again, conceptually, intellectually, and here's the other thing that's really fascinating to try to explain to people. People are conditioned to think of compounding annual growth. And what they're not understanding is compounding. At EXP, you see compounding monthly growth.
Right.
So, for example, you've been with EXP for 11 months.
15 months, right? 15
months?
Right.
Okay. Well, you're growing too slow, man.
Yeah, maybe.
Get
No,
it together.
20% a month. So I don't think that's bad.
But that's the point is, think about that, listeners. So normally, if you can buy something that's going to pay you even a 6% annualized return on investment, you're like, well, okay. But what we're seeing in some of these growths inside EXP, and yes, Orlando is great and C5 is great, but it's because EXP is phenomenal.
It's allowing me to give so much value to my agents. It's that simple. I wouldn't be able to offer them a compensation package, and that's what the listener needs to ask themselves, right? Do I have a compensation package in my company? It's not only about the split, right? No. And that takes me to the second C, which is coaching. All right, how do I maximize that amazing compensation package? Right? Most real estate agents have, they have not been trained, right, to become real estate agents. The professional salespeople.
They haven't been trained to become professional salespeople, let alone business people.
Exactly. Well, that's a completely different level, right? So the coaching, we offer the coaching for those agents on 3 things. Number 1, how to generate leads. You need to learn how to generate leads. Number 2, how to convert those leads into buyers and sellers. And finally, how to build a team. Those three things, those are the cornerstones for your business. If you don't have those three things, all right, either you're not selling or you're going to be having to sell forever. I'm not saying stop selling. Stop selling. Selling actually helps you grow your team. But I want you to have the option. There's a big difference between having to sell and having the option to sell. Two completely different things.
And the interesting thing is some of the top producers that come into EXP, they don't stop being top producers even when they have enough revenue.
Of course
share.
not.
They become more productive because then they don't have to, the nature of the earning of the money from a transaction completely changes because they have enough money coming in passively from their revenue share and frankly from their stock that the selling, as you said, it becomes more pleasurable because they can pick and choose who their customers are.
Exactly.
And they also can do more meaningful things with their lives, not just from taking my kids to Disneyland, but they can donate money. They can make impact on their local communities or however they want to. Because there's so many great examples of EXP of people that are living these lives that they never even could have possibly fathomed. That we're all just fortunate, really, to have been wise enough to see the opportunity for what it is. And I'm hoping listeners who are listening
two things. When I close some of my seminars, and we're closing tomorrow a 300 people seminar, it's usually one of my statements is I just got lucky, man. I'm serious. I just got lucky for two reasons. Number one, somebody came to me and explained it to me. And number two, at that point, I just want to say at that point, I was humble and open enough, all right, to see the model, right? Not to my ego interfere with what was in front of me.
100%.
All right. So you see many agents that you used to admire, right? You used to admire, and unfortunately, their little success is getting in the way into their big success because they're making $300,000-$400,000 a year, right? They don't want to let it go. They're afraid, right? And that success is just stopping them from an exponential growth. All right, what I've seen, and we got 4,500 agents in coaching, but the exponential growth, it took us 16 years to get there. It wasn't overnight. 16 years, Tim. All right, having 1,215 months. It's just incredible because of what? Because of the model allows you to do that. And you see some people that have been here for 4, 5, 6 years, and it's just unbelievable if you're not in the right environment.
Well.
Right?
Totally. And he's talking about some of the people that have been in EXP for 4 or 5, 6 years. And I don't think we should even talk about, I mean, the amount of revenue share that some people are, it's generational wealth is truly what it is. Not just your kids, but your kids. I mean, it's extraordinary. And again, it all goes back to Glenn thinking of this incredible idea that fortunately we are finally, like you said, that was a really good point too. Like, it's never no, it's just no, not right now. Right. That's what I've learned. Right. You can talk to somebody and they're going to be like, no, whatever. I've got all these other plates spinning. And it's never, but they'll come back like a year or 6 months later, or something will happen in their lives. And sometimes it happens at certain milestones of age, or sometimes they have something else that gives them a little bit of their own little bit of an epiphany that helps them wake up to the realization that they don't necessarily want COVID is actually having that effect on a lot of people. Maybe people have seen people get sick or pass away, and they're realizing, I got to start thinking about things in a different context. So what's the next C?
So the next C is centralization of systems, right? For most brokers, especially for brokers, it's very expensive to operate their brokerage firm. They need systems, they need CRMs, they need websites, they need automation, they need segmentation, right? And it's very expensive, not only for the broker, but of course also for the agent, if they want to have a good system. Now, the beautiful thing about EXP is that for $85 a month, you have everything in one system, and one of the most robust systems in our industry.
Well, look at KV Core.
Just
to drive
down this. How much is that? It's $6,000 a year for the basic package.
It's like $6,800.
Now it's more.
Yeah, and so you could buy KV Core independent, and you're going to spend about $6,000 a year, and it's military grade CRM with a whole bunch of other stuff built into it. At EXP, it's included in your $85 a month fee. So if you just start looking at all the money that you're going to be able to save by being an individual agent, now you can compound that and look at that from a broker's perspective. The brokers, frankly, are the ones where this makes the most sense most of the time, because most broker margins are so less than 3%, 2.5%, and all it takes
if there is any margin.
If there's any margin, and that is true. And I know you've looked at a lot of these P&Ls too.
Listen, I can hardly say, I don't know if I know 3 brokers, and I think I know a lot of brokers that are actually profitable.
Right.
Or even more, I don't know if I know any broker that would be making more money as a broker than as a real estate agent. And that's what I see when I'm coaching somebody and they decide to become brokers. Their productivity, their profit, their net profit year after year goes down tremendously. And then they quit.
We've had those conversations with so many different people. And then you can point out, like, I remember this very clear conversation. We had a great agent in Austin, $1 million a year. Julie and I did the math backwards, and his, it was basically split 50% going to buyer's agents, 50% going to the listing sides, the sources of income. The listings were all him and 2 assistants, and that's where all of his personal income was coming from. But when I showed him what his expenses were, his buyer's agents were not only not making him money, but he was actually spending money that would have been his profits just to keep his troop of buyer's agents in the leads.
Listen, that's why we have this phrase in the industry. You didn't invent it. I didn't invent it, right? Brokers are called brokers because they're broke. I mean, it's a very, very, very known phrase in our industry. It's the truth. It is the truth. Go ask your broker how profitable it is. He is. And if it is, the question is he teaching you how to leverage? Is he teaching you, right, what you need to know in order to grow your business? Not to sell more real estate. Got it. You need to sell real estate. But you eventually are going to realize that by selling real estate, you are not going to achieve that financial freedom. Right, you got to sell the next property. If you sold 50 properties this year, congratulations. But next year, you got to sell at least 50 properties.
So think about this. This is more crazy math, right? And I know you got to wrap because you got a party to get to, right? But think about this. So for an agent to say, let's say there's an agent earning $10,000 a month in revenue share, and what would they have to? Hey, Mr. Former banker at the end of the table, Michael Valdez, what would they have to have invested at say 4% for them to be making $120,000 a year? Come on, let's time him. 1,
2.5 million.
2.
Go ahead. 2.5 million.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Isn't it?
Partly because I was told to be quiet in the back. And I wasn't listening to you.
Isn't it?
Yes.
Yes.
I'm shocked you got that right that fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, but seriously, it's 2.5 million.
Yeah.
So think how much for an agent to have $10,000 a month passive income from, and that's from stock. So 2.5 million. How much money did they have to earn to even create that much money in the first place?
I put it like this. We had that exercise today, right? So let's say $5,000. For some people, is I make more money than that. Wrong question or wrong statement. It's not that you make more money. It's how you made that money. Yeah, you might be making $30,000 a month, but you work every single minute. All right, to earn those $30,000.
Even when you're asleep.
Right, exactly. So the $5,000 a month, you didn't have to work at all. So here's the key question, and we asked that question: how much money are you getting paid for the property you sold 2 years ago?
Yeah.
Right, zero. So what is residual income? It's right. Once you do the job once, you keep getting paid, which is what the broker is trying to do, the recruiter is trying to do, the owner of the real estate company everybody's trying to do that. Your client, your investor, when he comes to you and says, find me an investment property, what is he looking for? Residual income.
That's right.
Are you looking for residual income today while selling real estate? Ask yourself that question. In your environment, most likely they are not asking you that question. And if you keep that same environment 15 years from now, you're going to keep asking the same question. How do I sell more houses? Even though I'm so tired. Again, you need to change your environment, right? So you can ask yourself different questions. Does that make sense?
Yeah, sure.
All right?
But what you're saying about residual
So
income.
which takes me to the fourth C, which is the community. Right? Which is what we have at EXP. Across the table, we have Michael. We have you. We have Julie right here. Right? You have people that are more experienced than you, more successful than you. Others are not, but you're contributing to them, and that gives you so much energy for them to say thank you to you. I go to Puerto Rico, where you guys live. You introduce me to so many incredible people. The community. It doesn't happen in any other real estate company. They go to the convention, they get a certificate, they take some pictures, and they go back home, and everybody's on their own business. Right? That's a reality. The traditional real estate company has what? An office. I'm sorry. And by the way, if you're a new real estate agent, all right, one thing I advise you, do not go to a real estate office, at least a traditional, all right? That's the biggest mistake you can make as a new real estate agent. Here's why. When was the last time you saw the top producers in a real estate office? They don't go. And if they go, they close their doors. All right. So what happens? You surround yourself, your environment one more time. You surround yourself. What happens when you get your real estate license? What's the first thing you do when you get your real estate license? You open a text group, right? Of new real estate agents. They all have the same issues, right? And they don't know how to solve it. Why? Because, again, you're surrounded only by people at your level. So what happens with that's what I found at EXP. And I told you, Tim, that from the beginning, right? The reason I'm coming to this group, I love the platform. I love the compensation, right? And I can offer way more value as a coach like you. Our job is to offer as much value as we can to our agents so they can keep coming back, right? The more I contribute, the more they contribute to me. But what I saw, the beautiful thing that I saw, you put me in contact with so many people at the same time. I said, listen, this goes way beyond just financial rewards in the short term. This is intellectual reward. There are so many ways of getting compensated. Capabilities, right? 1C. The second one is what? Connections, right? The connections we have, right? You open the door to so many people that I can connect with, right? Credibility, right? When I mention your names, there's Michael, Julie, Tim. That's credibility. And then, of course, cash. Yeah, but that's not only one way, right? And most real estate agents are looking for what? The split. I want a 100% split company. Yeah, you're 100%, but you're 100% by yourself, all right? So don't ask about only the cash compensation. That's just one part of it.
It's not like the cash. It's not like the split at EXP is. It's 80-20.
It's not even 80-20. It's $60,000.
It's a $16,000 cap. So.
But if you kind of sell a little bit more, it's 100%.
Yeah,
because they give it back to you.
Well, let's talk about just real quick so we can drill that down, because it's a $16,000 cap. And once you cap, you sell an additional 20 houses or have a total GCI of $500,000, and you qualify for the Icon program where you earn the stock back through, the Icon program, but you get it back through EXPI stock. And it's like, what company is going to give you your cap back for producing? And if you're a top producer right now who says $500,000, I do that by May every year, well, then what the heck are you staying at that company for? But to drill down on the whole commission thing, the commission thing really is one of the, I don't know. Agents will argue, I've got a great commission split, but what about the royalty fee? Or what about the extra fees here? What about the 6%? I had one of the biggest producers of Berkshire Hathaway, who Julie and I have coached on and off for forever, and from one of our first coaching clients, and he was, I'm on the best split ever, 93.7, but then conversation, he's 6% off the top goes to, and they're making huge money. And I calculated it out. For him to go to EXP, he would pay nothing basically, and for him to be where it is on his great commission split, it was like $350,000.
So imagine, so it doesn't. That's a wrong way of looking at things, percentage-wise. Netting, how much are you leaving into your company? $300,000. What company is worth leaving $300,000? It's just crazy.
It is.
Okay? So again, it's your environment. If you're not asking the right questions, you're not going to get the right answers.
And you did bring up something too, and it's really incredible. Again, I was talking with Michael about this. You can't really understand it emotionally until you've rubbed elbows with the Michael Valdez or the lovely Julie Harris or some of these other
and Tim.
It's some of these other people that we've become friends with. I mean,
right.
You and I weren't friends until we got associated with EXP. I know you were a big fanboy of ours, but
always. Since I was a little kid. All right. So here, let's just to end the conversation, so we can all go to the party. Here's the point. At the end of the day,
my shin does feel kicked.
what I've learned through this 15 months, and that's what I used to say, and I still say to my agents that I coach. It's work with the convince, all right, not with the one that you have to convince.
Yeah.
I'd rather you invest time looking for the people that are interested in improving their life than trying to convince one person for 45 minutes. And it drains your energy,
Dave.
so I move. And people say to me, why are your presentations so short, 3 to 5 minutes? I want to spend more than 5 minutes. If you don't get it, that's on you, not on me. I'm giving you everything that I got because I know I have what you need. But if you don't see it,
save those that are swimming towards your boat, not the ones that are swimming away.
You say that all the time, right? Exactly.
Well, I learned it from someone at EXP, but it is really true.
Right.
And honestly, that would have been a great lesson for Julie and I to have for the decades being coaches, because one of the things, as you know, that possesses you as a coach is that your system works if they work the system, especially as you've taught thousands of other people to do it. And some of them, it's just not their time. They're just not going to get it. And it's not because you're not doing anything right, though that's where if you're doing things morally, you're always asking yourself, what can I be doing better, right?
Right, 100%.
And that's the thing with EXP, actually, for Julie and I, closed the loop. Here's what we feel to be the world's best coaching and training. Here's the best system we could possibly ever think of. It's been proven to work for decades and all the rest of it. But what happens after that? when you join EXP, guess what? You can start creating passive income that if you respect the income that you're earning, you will become a multimillionaire. And
100%.
that, just in this, the brief time that you and I have known each other, we've known droves of people that have become financially independent.
Right.
And we call it, like, the definition of rich is where your money works for you and you no longer have to work for your money. Right. So listeners, if your overhead every month is $7,500 or $10,000, or maybe you're in Manhattan, it's $50,000, how would it make you feel, and what would your relation be to life if that money was coming in every single month passively? And he was talking about the residual aspects of it. Every big business, the most valuable businesses on planet Earth, are all based on residual income.
That's what a business is.
That is
right.
A real business,
of course,
opposed to transactional.
Right. You don't see the owner of Hailstones. Said you don't see the owner of I don't know, a big what is it, a big chicken? Because we have one in Miami.
You
called,
can say it in Spanish.
No, we have one here. It's called Chicken Kitchen. I don't know if you have guys that. But you don't see the owner of the chicken place in the restaurant, right? Who do you want to be? The person selling the chicken, or you want to be the owner?
Yeah.
Right. It's a big difference, right? Who do you want to be? The person selling the milk, or you want to be the owner of the cow? It's a huge difference.
So
right?
since we have to go,
Right.
we can't get to
Yeah.
the other C's. But here's what I will say.
No, the last one is compromiso. In English, is commitment.
Commitment.
So the first one is compensation. Do you ask yourself right now that we're closing this segment or the interview, is number one, ask yourself, do I have a compensation package in my company? If it is a split, you need to ask some questions. All right? Call me, call anybody, but you need to ask some questions because you are not getting the full deal. Number two, do you have a coaching system that allows you to generate leads, convert those leads into buyers and sellers, and finally develop a team? You need to get there as soon as possible. Number three, do you have a centralized system, right, that allows you to perform not only more efficient and effective, but saves you a lot of money monthly? Number four is the community. And that's what we created. You said, it's like a movement. C5, yeah, for the Hispanic population, there's no bigger team, and that's what we do. We want to make sure that they understand the process.
There's no bigger, more organized partnership at EXP. You say team, sometimes people conflate team with real estate team versus what you're doing.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, but I mean, so at the end of the day, look, guys, I mean, Hispanic or not, but if you're Hispanic and you're thinking about joining EXP anywhere on planet Earth, you've got to join with Orlando's group at C5. There's no two ways about it. Yeah, it's extraordinary. It really is. You've done something really special. You should be super proud of it. I'm proud of you, and I'm proud of your brother and your magnificent team that you guys have created. It's something truly special.
Thank you, Tim. And you know that I really appreciate you. I call you sometimes at 11:30 at night. We talk
Sometimes.
for 2 hours. Sometimes or every day.
Sometimes.
It's a true honor and a pleasure to call myself your friend and Julie. And it's a lot of fun, man. And we're having a blast, and we're changing life.
Hey,
real.
Gene Frederick said, making real estate fun again.
There you go. I love that phrase, making real estate fun and profitable again.
Amen.
There you go.
Well, there you guys go. Have a fantastic day. We'll talk with you on the podcast tomorrow.
This podcast is a part of the C-Suite Radio Network. For more top business podcasts, visit c-suiteradio.com.